Welcome to another session of CDR, usually hosted by Tony, but for some reason he's trusted me to get a little bit more involved. My name is Shy One. I'm a DJ and producer from London Town, and today's session is extra special and cute because the reason I'm actually like here, and any of you might know of me, is because of this man, Scratcha DVA, aka Lil Boosie. Thanks for coming through, Scratch. You got your own mic there.
Yo, thanks for having me.
It's all good. So I feel like people who know you from like different parts of, I don't know, they could know you from different places and have no idea about your history in another kind of part of the music industry or scene or community. So I wanted to kind of recap for a lot of them on your like musical history and how we came to meet. And then before obviously we get into a couple of tracks that you're gonna talk us through and show us on the screen. So the earliest the earliest of your career that I know of from you telling me, but not actually from me being there, is that you, am I correct in saying that you used to be part of Aftershock? Was that sorry, he's a DJ and a producer, but you know that's why you're here. But what was your role? Like, could you explain a bit more about that?
Aftershock, the Aftershock record label, which was run by Terror Danger and Flash. Terror Danger, like a grime legend, basically. And I knew Terror Danger from actually jungle, drum and bass. So it was before the grime thing. So jungle, drum and bass. When I was in college, I linked up with an MC called Triple Threat, who was actually called Lethal at the time. But he had to change his name to Triple Threat because there was another Lethal B. And we both went to the same college. I remember it was always like beef in the corridor. Obviously Lethal B and Lethal, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah. So Triple Threat introduced me to Terror Danger, and that was me making journeys from Essex to Forest Gate, which is where all the Aftershock family lived. Terror Danger. Triple was down the road in Manor Park, Biggie D, Magnum, DOK. So that was like the camp that I used to roll with at the time.
And what was your role in Aftershock at the time? Like, I didn't know that Aftershock kind of started as D&B.
Well, it kind of didn't. Terror Danger. There was before Aftershock. There was a crew called Reckless Crew, and that was Terror Danger, DWE, Hyper, myself, Bruiser, whose name was something else before, and Lethal, who was Triple Threat. Anyway, so that was Reckless Crew, and that was going to Rinse FM back in the early days, in the jungle, drum and bass days, and it used to be in a treehouse. So it was literally Rinse was literally in a treehouse. Like, it was crazy. I remember it was off the A12, and you come off the A12. And you walk up to it, and like a shop with the shutters, metal shutters down, and it just looks like a shutter. And you have to, when you get closer and closer, you notice there's like a door that's been like sawn out of this thing. You go inside the door, and it's literally a treehouse. Like, you have to climb up and climb through this hole
with records, yeah.
Yeah, you climb through this hole, and then you up inside this treehouse. It was crazy, and that's where Rinse was. And I used to go up there and meet Terror Danger, and that's when I met Genius and all these people back then. But Genius, who runs Rinse. But anyway, that was it. And Terry used to tell me to come up, and then every now and again he'll sneak me in a little mix. And that was Reckless Crew.
Yeah. So just use like spinning. Was you kind of enlisted as like to be another DJ?
Yeah, just another DJ. I mean, I used to go around to his house and we'll make tracks on PlayStation. I can't knock PlayStation. Like, we made loads of tracks on that on Music 2000. Do you remember that?
You know what? Everyone has a history of it. Well, depending on your age and if you came from grime. Like, everyone in grime has some sort of history of it. Yeah. And I think I had it on a demo, but I don't think I could save. So I remember playing with it.
There was the first one which you couldn't save, but then they made another one where you could actually sample. So, you load up the CD and then you could like, we started sampling stuff off like Aaliyah CDs and stuff like that, and you could sample and put stuff in, and that's where it started taking off from there. So. And Terror would just let me come around his house, and he had like 2 rooms in his house in Forest Gate. So he'd have his like bedroom where he'd, watch TV and do his stuff. He'd have his other room with just a sofa and just the PlayStation and speakers and records, and I would just sit in there and we just make tunes and then he took me to Music House. Music House. Music House is a place where
Of it.
you know Music House, right?
Nah, I'm not from them sides. I know of Music House, but
Right,
I've never stepped foot in there.
Music House is like a place where this is back in the day. I'm old, so before you send in stuff online or whatever, you'd have to go and cut dub plates. So you make a track, and if you wanted to play it, you cut a dub. Right, you cut a dub plate. Well, that's actually a vinyl, but
Oh yeah, sorry. Dub plates are acetate, right?
It's acetate. It's,
heavy.
It's heavy. So you go and cut a dub plate, and he took me there, and I made a track at college. So I was doing music tech course at that time. Made a track, and he's like, this is sick. Come Music House and cut that on plate. And I remember I went to Music House, and that's where all my heroes was, because you see all the drum and bass man come in, people like Andy C, Mampy Swift, and all these guys, and you got 2 rooms, and they'll be cutting their dubs in there, and you're waiting in line. Literally, you're waiting all day. I just waited, how long for that food? That was nothing. You're literally waiting, hours and hours just to cut about one little dub plate with my little 35-pound that I had. And there would be this colour gas in the middle, and everyone had to come there. So you'd see Wiley, you see Skepta, you see literally everybody, all the time. I don't know about now, but yeah, so it was a good networking place. So you go there, and if you're cutting a good tune, people would knock on the door and be like, what's that? Let me cut that. And then that's how we used to get your tunes out.
That's amazing. So Terra being like, yo, this sounds sick, come with me to Music House to cut this, was that the first of your tunes to kind of be taken from a digital format to... Was this the first time someone's like, let's take this to the next step?
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, first time I got off the DAT tape, from the computer onto that tape, onto something playable on a record player.
Do you still have that tune today? Or do you remember what it's called?
I remember it was called Bass Shift, and I don't have it, no.
Do you remember how it goes?
I do remember how it goes, yeah. You know what, the tune's hard. Sometimes I go back and listen to all my old tunes and be like, yo, way better than what I was doing now. Yeah.
It was a dub plate, so surely it must exist somewhere.
No, it doesn't. That's another story why it doesn't. Basically, anyway, yeah, let's not talk about that.
Okay, it's all right. We won't bring up.
All my records got set on fire by someone who hated me. But anyway.
Okay. That's why you got to back your shit up now. So that's for me, that's your origins, and I feel like that's completely unknown from anyone that you kind of started.
Yeah.
Technically in an Aftershock camp and with Terra Danger. I suppose most people would assume that your beginning was what I'm going to also assume came next, which is you being known as a grime producer in your own right, separate from a camp, as well as, I don't know if you were running, but you definitely was engineering at a studio and doing your own stuff there. Was that with A+ in Bethnal Green?
Just before that. So I was engineering. What happened after I finished I didn't actually finish the BTEC diploma, but I studied, and these guys, I lived in Ilford at the time, in Essex, and these guys, it was a Bangor label, and they heard that I knew how to make tracks, literally, so, they must have got my number and whatever, and they was like, yo, we've got this studio in Ilford near your house, we have no idea how to use this equipment, and it was a big studio. It was like, yo, if you could just help us record our Bangor sessions, keys are yours. So I just went there, and I learned how to record Bangor albums, and that's where I met Suk Knight actually, because he was in anyway. So what? Yeah.
Wait, did you teach yourself how to record?
Yeah, I mean, I knew how to hit the record button,
but
I didn't know how to use all this stuff, so I just had to figure it out. At the time, it was just lots of hardware and patch bays and plugging in here, there, and everywhere. So you feel it out, you figure it out in the end. And so as long as I record their stuff and they was happy, I had the studio to myself. So at that time, I just had this big studio, and Terra, again, where he was linked to a lot of MCs and stuff, he would be like, yo, bring certain people down, and then when they finished their sessions, they'd be like, what beats you got? And it kind of went from there, and it just went from there. And Then Wiley come in. Wiley must have heard about the studio, and he was living not far from the studio. And he heard about the studio, so he was like, yo, let me come through. And I'd actually remember him from back in the day before, but he come through, and then that's when it actually took off, because kind of thing, where Wiley goes, I feel like everybody else wants to go at that time. And they heard he was recording the Tunnel Vision stuff. All the Tunnel Vision CDs, I recorded a lot of that. And so all the other MCs were to know what he was doing, so then they got my number, and next minute I end up on their mixtapes, and then I'm on everyone's mixtapes, and it kind of went from there.
And just to give you an idea of where we are on the timeline, this is, if I remember correctly, 2007, yeah? Tunnel Vision's...
Yeah, around that time.
So like 07. Same kind of time you also... I feel like this is when your beats were most about in the grime scene. Yeah. You had Wiley's Tunnel Vision tapes, which you recorded, and obviously you had instrumentals on there, stuff that you also made with Mega, right?
Yeah.
But then you also... Did you have some tunes with Dot Rotten and like Badness? You
Dot
basically
Rotten, Badness, yeah. Just like, I was lucky because people were just coming through, and it was just, and also when I left that studio in Ilford, there's a team, Media Gang. So Media Gang, who done Practice Hours, the DVDs, they used to use the studio as well. So they'd have MCs come through, and I record stuff for them. And then when I left the Ilford studio, when that was closing down, they said, you know what, come with us. We're going to build another studio in E3. And obviously E3 being like the home of grime. So I was like in the heart of it. So then everyone was coming through this studio, and everyone was there. So that's how I ended up on everyone's mixtapes.
Same. And this is, for me, I don't know if it's like, because I think it was technically like the last kind of era or season of grime for me that I really was invested in. But I really encourage you, if you don't know about this kind of era of Wiley's Tunnel Vision tapes, Dot Rotten was also putting out tapes. You had like the War Report. It was like an incredible time for grime, and I feel like production-wise, mostly because Scratcha's involvement, it was like the most progressive. Like the beats were just on a different wave. Everyone was experimenting a lot more. But yeah, definitely go back, and I'm sure you can find them on forums if you can't find them on
Can I just say I never got a penny out of any of that work, by the way.
Criminal.
Yeah.
So after this, if I'm correct on my timeline now, or around the same time, you were on Rinse FM 4, still arguably the best breakfast show in the history of British
I don't like talking about that show anymore. It's like cancel culture.
It's cool. We won't talk about it, but did anyone listen to Rinse when Scratcha was the breakfast host? He had a show called Grimey Breakfast, and some legendary shit happened. You can look it up. Just Google Scratcha Grimey Breakfast.
No, don't do that.
Sorry, don't. I mean, sorry. Nah, you're not responsible for everything that happened on that show. Stuff happened on that show. Grown people came on that show, and they handled their business with people, and it just all happened live on air. Obviously, before Rinse went legit, but Grimey Breakfast still to this day, a lot of people are like, that's the best breakfast show we've had. I haven't listened to breakfast radio since, personally. Like, would you ever consider going back to do a breakfast show?
No way.
Or some sort of regular. It could be like Drive Time.
Oh, no, I'd definitely do a regular show. I don't know about Drive Time, but I'll definitely do a regular radio show. But how that show was run by, I was going to in E3. So I was going to the studio, recording, trying to make tunes. 3 in the morning, you got Scorch or whatever ringing you up. Have you mixed my track yet? Like, or whatever. Wiley will ring you up, like, I need to go studio now, 3 in the morning. So by the time I got to radio in the morning, I was tired. And that's how that show was so crazy, because I ran that on like fumes. I was like tired all the time, so that's why it was kind of crazy show. Like I wasn't, it was nuts. But it was a good time. It was a good time.
It was incredible. We won't talk about it, but seriously, look it up. I really hope that recordings are still online, because a great piece of British broadcasting history. Seriously, across the board of any station. Like I can't remember who, but someone said like it was better than whichever BBC breakfast show was on at the time.
I mean, they said at the time that Rinse would never get a license because of my show. And but the funny thing is, they actually announced getting the license on my show, which was another mad thing. So I remember in the morning, because I would just go there in the morning, I'd be on my own, or Shamika would be there, or JJ. Yeah. And I was there on my own one morning, and G come in. Because it started at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's early. And I remember G coming. I see G, cool. Then Sarah Lockhart, who used to run Forward.
Is that Sarah?
And Rinse.
Soldier Sarah from Rinse.
Soldier, yeah.
I literally, sorry, random, but she was at my studio yesterday. Or
Really?
before, random, yeah.
Wow.
She came up to me and swapped deets, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
Dope,
after.
dope.
Mad small world.
Yeah, Sarah, I love Sarah. But yeah, she come through, and then Charles, who used to work on the PR, came through. Then Zinc came through. I'm like, okay, there's 4 people from the office in the studio. What's going on? I thought I was going to get sacked. So like, literally, I thought I was going to get sacked. And they come in and announced that it was legal on the show. So that was dope.
How did you feel about that? Like being on Rinse, literally at that cusp, before they went from pirate to legal, and obviously Rinse since then, like their identity's changed a lot. So how did it feel like being someone who was on one of their most popular shows and like one of the most regular shows in the week?
Well, but they planned it. They planned that because when I actually first started on Rinse, I was doing Friday evening sometime, like just once a week, and I said like to talk a lot. And I remember Sarah and G said to me, do you feel like doing a breakfast show? Because we want to create some structure to the radio. So if we have something what's on every morning, then we can start thinking about going for something proper, like a license. So they had that in their head. That it was their idea for me to do that.
Okay, so you was part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
How, once they got the license, did the breakfast show stay or what?
Yeah, no, I was on there till 2012, I think. So 2006 to 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real shame. I know why you left. Like, you get me your own artist in your own right, but if you're ready to sack all of this in, which hopefully not yet, Breakfast Radio, man, you got listeners way in. You do. Another thing, I don't know if you're not going to want to talk. No, I don't see why you wouldn't. Another thing that I feel like no one really knows you were a part of or you did, which is, if my timeline's correct now, this is around this time or maybe a little bit before. It's definitely when you was doing the studio. Is that you were a tour DJ for someone who went on to be a pretty big pop star.
Yeah, Tiny Tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is what his this was like. I feel like this was the tape before he dropped that single Pass Out, which was the big crossover one.
I was doing Pass Out as well.
Ah.
Yeah.
It was a Hood Economics tour, innit?
Right. Yeah. Tiny was getting bigger and bigger. He needed a DJ. So he was part of Aftershock as well, by the way. I don't know if much people know that. But anyway, so, we hooked up. He asked me to come DJ for him. We was touring, doing all these shows. And I remember he had wrote Pass Out, and it was just another track to him. It's just, he didn't care. It was just like another one. So, I'll start performing this, see how it goes. And, it was going off. I remember I'd be in the back doing the ad-libs. I was proper like that. Yeah.
So wait, if I go and listen carefully, will I hear you?
No, not on the track. I mean, live, we're doing Wireless Festival and stuff like that. Yeah. And it just comes to a point where I just thought, I mean, what's Tiny Temper's DJ's name?
No one knows.
There you go. I know his name. He's Charlesy. But that's the point. You know what I'm saying? And I never come in a game for that. So I said I can't do this anymore. So, yeah.
Was this before or after the Tunnel Vision tapes?
Tunnel Vision. I think it was after that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
around about similar times. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And sorry, we've like kind of focused on all these affiliations and random connections that people wouldn't know that he had. But I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like it's all kind of contributed to where you are now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
it's worth mentioning. But with all of that kind of considered, like you coming from being an engineer, randomly starting for a Bangra label, engineering for people, like self-taught, I suppose, producing, DJing, tour DJing, and at the same time being someone who can make your own tunes. Next, I wanted to touch on your incredible rhythm and grime. What were they called?
R&G.
No, Voices of Grime.
Oh, Voices of Grime. Yeah.
Voices of Grime, because I didn't want to miss out the fact that you're someone who kind of pioneered. Like, people had singers on grime, but they were always awful. Like, on my way here, I was listening to So Solid, and the singing is atrocious. But you were like the first person who thought, let me actually get vocalists and really.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I was the first person, but I was the first person to put out a project of it. That's what it was. Yeah. I think definitely Da Vinci and Terra was the guys who did that first. So like, I think the first tune of R&G, which is like R&B and grime together. Was So Sure, which was Sadie, Charlotte Amma's sister, and Kano. I think that was like the first main track that they had out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, Da Vinci done his stuff with Katy Perry, and then, you know, I was into it. I like my R&B, I like soul, I like grime, so, and I was rolling with Terror, so it kind of come from there, so I just went crazy and started recording loads and loads of singers on my beats, and put together a compilation with other producers. Then I put it out. So, like, you know, Social never came out. These tracks that they were doing never come out. They were just on One Extra. They was on radio. They never actually come out.
Yeah, this is a crazy era. Same for like the funky tunes that were out around then, because certain tunes like Attack of Pasante, like certain bangers that are like modern day classics of and like formative tunes of these genres were never actually officially released. You can't.
Yeah, you can't actually find them nowhere. Like, they're not online. So, with Voice of Grime, it was the first of its kind to actually be released. That's what it was. But I wouldn't say I didn't make that genre. Nah,
not make the genre, but like someone who actually sat down and made a whole project of it and kind of wanted to develop the singers a bit more, because I feel like singers in grime were generally just like little confetti.
Yeah, no one, singers didn't really want to sing on grime. They couldn't really see it. And so what I used to do is they'll come in and, you know, I'll have a beat with some chords on it. I mean, this is the way, like, if you want to get someone to sing on your beats, just get some chords on the beat. And then when they've left the studio, just mute the chords. That's it. So
you tricked them?
Yeah, basically.
So what did they think they were recording for?
Just what, you know, don't worry about it. It's just R&B, and then you just take away the chords.
140 gospel.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I feel like the majority of the people in the room are going to know you from releasing on and being a part of, being on the roster of Hyperdub, one of like the biggest indie labels, I suppose, definitely for dance music in the UK. Do you want to give us a bit of a history on how you and Code linked up? That would be great.
That was so I was in Gants Hill in Essex, and I went to a record store, and I remember I see a flyer as I walked in, and it said Producer's House. And somewhere on the flyer it said something about, and at this time I was making funky house. Well, I thought I was making funky house. It's like 130 BPM stuff.
What's the year, roughly?
Oh, man. I don't know. Is it? No. This was 2009. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's funky. Because Natty come out. Anyway, so 2009, I'm in this record store, and I see this flyer, and it said Producer's House. And all the people playing on the night were producers of funky house. So I'm like, oh damn, I make funky house. Like, I want to play. And there was a number on it, so I just called the number. And at the other end of it was Cooley G, who I didn't know. Sick. And I'm like, yo, I make funky, I want to play. And she's like, send me some tunes, innit? So I sent her some tunes, and she's like, cool, I got a set for you. And it was in South London somewhere. I can't remember which. You know the Mass, Brixton Mass?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think it was underneath the Mass. There was another club called Babaloo. Anyway, it was in there, and she's like, come and play. So I went and played, and it was dope.
So how many other DJs on the lineup? What was the cap?
I can't even remember. It's like a 300 cap underground in Brixton.
Okay. Under Mass.
Yeah, in under Mass.
Everyone is playing mostly self-produced funky.
Yeah, it was producers. All producers playing. I mean, they could play other people's tracks, but it's just, producers are playing, not DJs. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I played, and then, a couple of weeks later, whatever, we hooked up again. I went to her studio in her house, and I remember she was, I hate when people do this, but she was, when I went to the toilet, I come out, and she's in my laptop, like, going through stuff. I hate when people do that, and she's like, what's this? And she's come across the beat for Natty, and it was just a demo at the time, and, like a loop. And she's like, no, this is hard. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's just a track I've not finished yet. And she's like, nope, playing it like this. And she took it and just started playing it. And Code 9 heard it. And then he called me up.
How did Code hear it?
Or she played
Julian Codes.
Because she had already released Love Dub.
Okay.
Yeah, at that point. Because it's 2009.
Damn. All right.
So, so he heard her play it. So, and you might have heard me play it on the radio as well. But anyway. Because he used to listen to the Grimey Breakfast, right?
Yeah.
So he's got my number. He's called me up. He's like, what are you doing with that track? I'm like, well, it's a track I'm not finished yet. And he's like, when are you going to have it finished? So I'm like, well, I'm doing this kind of like... Because what I did with Fatima was always the plan. but it was just a beat. And what actually happened was my computer blew up, like literally blew up. It just went boom, like my tower, so I couldn't get it finished. So it was just this loop. And he's like, nah, it's hard. Just, make a little intro to it, make a little outro to it, and run that. So I did that. That became Natty. So that's why later on I went back and then put the chords on it and put the singer on it, because that was always the plan.
Mad. So they released it technically in your eyes, in your ears, as an unfinished track.
Unfinished track, yeah.
It's like a raw.
And Just
down.
Vibe is the finished track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is anyone familiar with Just Vibe in here? Is anyone familiar with Natty? All right, go back and listen to Natty, because even I'm like, I've never clocked it. It's the same.
The original
parts?
beat of Natty was called Foreign Exchange, and you know Foreign Exchange,
of course,
right?
you put me on.
Yeah, so it was always a soulful thing in my head, but I never got round to putting the soul on it. It was just a beat, and they just liked the beat, so I let them take it.
That's kind of mad, because even though you did the whole R&G thing, I feel like it was a few years later until you got to give us like Just Vibe and that kind of vibe. So if anything, it was like your soulful stuff was kind of postponed.
The soul was always there. Like I would listen to a lot of R&B, like a lot of Aaliyah and a lot of A. Marie, and then I'll go and make grime. So because I couldn't get my head around how to do what they were doing, or whatever it was. So I didn't that R&B and soul would inspire me to make grime. It was weird. I don't know, but then when I realized, that I could actually make soulful music, then it sort of grew from there.
And how long after releasing on Hyperdub, being on Hyperdub, did you set up your own imprint, your first imprint, DVA Music, or was that already?
That was already there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was already there. And actually, the first thing on that first phone conversation I had with Code 9, I remember he said to me, "Do you have your own label?" Yes, I have DVA Music. Goes, good. You're gonna need that, and because this is not your label. And I'll never forget that. Obviously, later when I completely forgot my own label and was just writing off of Hyperdub, which is not a good idea, because I think everyone should have their own imprint, no matter what they're doing. Always have something to fall back on. But DVA Music started in like 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the first ever release, which you only recently managed to get your hands on again, right? You've been like slowly trying to buy back.
Yeah,
your own back
slowly
catalog.
getting bits. I'm trying to get like one copy of everything I've ever released, and I think I'm one left.
So
which I need to get.
You and Cooley's I think it was the second ever release. Did it have Cooley on it, or was it a Cooley track?
On
I got that
Hyperdub?
wrong. No, on DVA.
No. The first one was The End. It's called The End and Curve Crawl.
Yeah. What about? Didn't Cooley? Have I got this wrong? Am I mixing up labels?
Cooley's one is like DVA 009, something like that.
What year was that?
I don't know. I'm sat in my head. I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but I can't remember. I think that was obviously after Natty anyway.
And by the way, this comes not full circle, but DVA Music and the timeline is where I met Scratcha. Before actually, it was Grimey Breakfast show, and I think it was through when Scratch was engineering at the studio. It wasn't in Ilford them times. It was the one in Bethnal Green.
It was in E3.
The one for the practice hours, Grime DVD guys. So Scratch had become like an engineer after Wiley goes there. Everyone knows it's the spot to go to get your stuff engineered. And some MCs were recording, and it was on a beat that I had made. And Scratch inquired because it was weird. He was like, "Who made this?" We got in touch via MSN, or you might
MSN.
Yeah, man. I think it was MSN.
What was your MSN name?
Oh, back then it would have been. I was
Sweet Girl Booty XXX. It was
Little Miss Graham.
Yeah.
No, I think I was Shy One then, but I don't know what the MSN thing would have. Was I Shy
You used
One
to have
then?
the Powerpuff. You used to have the Powerpuff thing. You remember that?
I think it was a Shy One Beats. That was like the beginning of my whole Shy One Beats
right.
thing. Yeah, but I didn't show my face, so he didn't know what I looked like till I came to the studio. But Scratch got in touch because these MCs had recorded on a beat I'd made, and he was like, "I'm interested in these. Let's hear some more." Invited me down. First time I ever went to a proper music studio other than my youth club, and then that kind of ended up being my first ever release, which was on Scratcha DVA.
Years and years later.
Yeah, years later. So Scratch and I linked up in 2007, and I sent you a bunch of tunes. I would always send him tunes. He would play them on Rinse. So that was kind of where we'd keep in touch, like where something was still happening. But other than that, no releases penned. And I actually stopped producing for a year. And Scratch brought me back into music because he hit me up and was like, I want to release this track. What you saying? And it was this track called Untitled 9 that went on to be my debut EP release on his label in 2011. So big up Scratcher because I stopped producing and he brought me back. I wouldn't be here now. So DVA Music, and now that's DVA Music is no more. The last release came out
I stopped that,
2 years ago.
About that, yeah.
And now it's all about all your records.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
still?
It's just another imprint, just something fresh and just something new. To put different music on, you know.
Is all your records like what I noticed, and maybe an assumption, but it was kind of you taking things up a notch with the tempo?
Not really tempo. It's just more about like, you know, I think releasing other people's music is not easy, as well, as you know. You know what I'm saying? And I just needed another focus and another wave. You know what I mean? Like another incentive. And I thought DVA Music had done its thing, and let me just move over and do something fresh. You know, like a fresh things are good. Which is why, you know, I started the Scratch Clark thing, and just, you know, just something new, like a new incentive. Like, you know, sometimes you get disheartened, and you just need another lane. So it's not a thing to just start another name and go there instead. So yeah, that's what that was.
Where's all your records up to now with releases?
I've done 2 albums on there and a couple like just releases of some grime stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, 2 albums.
And now that we brought it up to modern day, like current times, you've also, I don't know if it's common knowledge or if you want people to know, like you have an alias.
Oh yeah, single white female, yeah.
So was anyone familiar with single white female tracks? And did you know it was Scratcher? Oh, well, there you go.
The intro kind of gave it away sometimes, because I know with these DJ sets there's a little bit of like catch man off kilter, and then it kind of started with that as well.
Yeah, or some of the WhatsApp recordings or something. Some of the uses of samples. You'll clock it. So the single white female alias. You've given us 2 albums or mixtapes?
On the albums, there's single white females tracks.
Yeah.
And I've got the vinyl there I just gave you, the 10-inch, and I've got another 10-inch coming out, which is called Air Bubble, and that's going to be on the next one. But it's just, again, another lane, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I feel that it's stupid, but I feel that people can't understand when you want to do different things. Like, people can't understand that today I might like Snickers bars and tomorrow I might like Twix. It's that simple. So they can't. It's like, but I want you to like Snickers, like, and I'm not gonna support you now because you like Twix. So sometimes you have to make another name and say, okay, have it. Let me give it to you like that. Okay, you understand it now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the single white female stuff I've noticed because we have a track together. The EP that came out on your label, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my EP from year before, or was it last?
The Waterfalls.
Waterfalls EP was the last EP to come out on DVA Music, and then it ended with a single, right? Yeah. The actual catalogue. So it was the last full release on Scratch's first imprint, and that track was a beatless track, and it was my first beatless track that I've done, I suppose. And I've noticed, like, listening to the single white female tapes or the tracks, that a lot of it is kind of beatless and a little bit more experimental.
Yeah.
Is that the point of that alias?
Yeah, you know, it's just to flex out, do what I want to do, and not feel no way about it. When really, I should be able to do that anyway. But as I said, people can't get their head around it sometimes, and they want to put you in a box. So yeah, with a single white female, it's just, you know, I can just park stuff off onto that. And yeah, there's like some beatless stuff and weird and wonderful vibes on there.
Do you plan to give us like a proper single white female EP or something? Or is it the kind of stuff that you intend to make under that name? Is it? I
mean, to be fair, at the moment, I'm just having fun, like making club tracks. I'm not really thinking about anything like that. You know, like, to be fair, the releases what are coming out on Single White Female, someone else is hearing them and they want to release them. That's what that is. But I'm just having fun doing the Scratch Clark stuff, banging out the club, because I think in my whole time of making music, I've never been that guy to bang the club. And I think in the last year or two, like I finally got a lane with the UK Gom. I call it UK Gom, right? But you know, the collaboration with UK Funky and Gom, like that's where I'm most happiest at the moment.
So that's where we're at present day. I suppose your sound, if someone was to check out everything you released in the last year, they're gonna hear this very heavy, like South African Gom influence, as well as your standard UK funky identity, with a little bit of that grime weirdo-ness as well.
Weirdo-ness.
It is. It's weird grime. Like that's why we ended up linking up, because we're like originally grime producers who make slightly weird shit that MCs can't always get with. But now you've taken it to Gom, which is an incredible. Please don't cuss me for not pronouncing it with the click. I'm not South African. But yeah, this genre that you've really taken a liking to, but with your own spin. How did you come to kind of get to that place where you wanted to change your sound and incorporate this genre from the whole other side of the world?
Well, with Gom, I mean, Gom's amazing music, like, and you know, I was making UK funky. I was involved in that 130 BPM, whatever you want to call it, and you know, Gom, you know, the whole UK funky kind of scene just kind of disappeared from underneath us, like literally, like one day it was there, next day it wasn't, and I think with Gom, it's kind of just filled that hole of like, it's got the right tempo, the right vibe, the right bounce. So why wouldn't I play it? But then, you know, I'm not gonna make straight Gom. Like this is the thing about when I make tunes, like even with grime, R&B, whatever it is, like I always feel like I'm making the music, but then someone will tell me this is not it. It's always something else. So I think it's my attempt at making Gom, and it's end up sounding the way it is, UK Gom. So yeah, that's where that happened.
Have you got any, like, it seems to be the kind of, that's the vibe you're on right now. You've had the self-released drum track EPs, which are up to, is it 9?
I'm up to 8. 8 is released.
But you skipped 2 numbers, right?
I skipped 6.
Well, not 6 numbers, but you skipped
No, I
number
skipped
6.
drum track 6, yeah, because I was working on drum track 6, and it's actually it's got singers on it. It's all singers, 4 tracks of singers I'm working on, and you know, working with singers is long. You know, you got working with other human beings is so long. Like literally, like I can't just do this, do that, and then put it out. I've got to call someone and be like, "Where's this? Where's that? Let's do this, let's do that." And so working with 4 different singers has been long. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna skip that number and I'll come back to it. Yeah, that's what that is.
Are you gonna come back to it? Because you haven't dropped.
I'm doing it now. Like, I'm working on it now.
Okay,
so.
wicked. Are the vocalists UK based or some of them South African?
Zaki Ibrahim.
Hey, I was hoping you'd have her on.
Yeah, Zaki Ibrahim. She's from Canada but living in South Africa. Callista, do you remember her? Bongo
Yes.
Jam.
Yeah, I was like, why do I know that name? I
Yeah,
remember
from
her.
Bongo Jam. We've got one on there, and yeah, that's so far. And I've got sessions pending with Roses Gabor as well. But anyway, that's on the way.
What about Ari Lennox, who I put you onto?
This is our relationship. It's just about who put who onto who. She always thinks she put me onto all these people.
I put Scratcha onto Ari Lennox.
You definitely
and
didn't
he
put
has
me onto
been
Ari Lennox.
lying
You didn't
through his
do that.
teeth ever since.
Do that. You did not do
And
that.
it's his biggest claim to fame nowadays, and it upsets me so much. But you two seriously need to link up. It needs to happen.
Love that.
It needs to. I think we're gonna get you to go through 2 tracks. I mean,
Right.
how are we doing for time? Should we keep chatting for a bit? Yeah. All right. Cool. Play some tunes.
Play some rhythms, yeah.
Let's play a rhythm.
Okay, cool. So
Well, I'm like Scratch is someone who has so much music. Do you want him to go through a track, or would you like him to just play something you might not have heard first? What we got time for, Tony? Who's shouting these things out? I can't tell if it's actually someone from CDR or just someone trying to get their own way. Yeah. Do you want to? Whilst we wait to get the screen up, could you play us something that the people may not have heard that you're willing to let them hear?
might not have heard.
Yeah.
A new thing.
It doesn't mean it has to have not been released. There's stuff that you have released that people may never have heard.
Stuff that I've released that they haven't heard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Just anything, whatever you like, but just, yeah, before we get into like an actual track.
okay, so more recently, the most recent thing I released is an EP. It's It's called the Classics EP, and it's a collaboration with a DJ producer called KG, and this is just a remixes of all old classic tracks. So we've got, Soul to Soul, Back to Life on there, Dirty Cash, a Ronnie Size track, Share the Fall, and Strings of Life. And we actually made Strings of Life by Derek May. And we actually made a track called Strings of Death on Hyperdub. So on this version, we have a track called Strings of Death and Life, and it's a collaboration. But which one? I play a Dirty Cash. Okay. Thanks. So yeah, that's a little remake. If that gets taken off of Spotify, then you know why. Like, didn't ask for permission for that, but should be blessed.
So that one is a collaboration. It's you and KG.
Yeah, it's so basically we got 4 tracks on there. I don't know where that fuzzing's come from. We got 4 tracks on there, and we decided I chose 2 tracks. He chose 2 tracks to remix, and we just got to it.
Can I guess which ones you chose?
Go on.
Was you Back to Life?
Nope.
Oh, damn. Actually, that's ruined it because I know that you chose Dirty Cash.
I didn't choose that either.
Okay,
I was the other 2.
Wow, I know nothing. Okay, so I gave it, I mean, it's out of 4, so we know which ones you chose. And with that last track, like, it's a collab. KG's on vocals, right?
Yep, she sung that as well, yeah.
That's amazing. I
We
didn't
sung
know
that.
that she sang. I mean, it's really fun, like, when you are familiar with one or both of the producers on a collab to try and figure out who did what. But if you could tell us, like, just the basic elements of who handled what on that track.
This particular track?
That last one, yeah.
Yeah, so she, I mean, I've got the project here. She had, this is the idea that she had. She always said that she wanted to redo it. so when I come forward with the idea of doing the remixes, she's like, I have an idea. And she already had the demo for Back to Life as well. But anyway, so with this, she had this.
Sorry, I'm going to turn you back up.
Oh, go on. So you can hear the chords in there with the pad. It's really quiet. I don't know why.
One
it's
sec, I
quiet.
think we're a little bit loose or something. Yeah, I think it's a dodgy. Is it that?
Oh, okay, dodgy wire.
Yeah. Shall I turn it up a bit, innit?
Yeah. There we go.
Sorry, guys.
So
This
yeah,
is the loop that she sent you.
this is what she said. And yeah, you can hear like the chords in there and you know the elements of Dirty Cash kind of. But then I was like, we need, because if you listen to the original, it's really nice, warm, bouncy, moog kind of sounding bass. So I took ages to try and find that bass sound or something similar.
Before
So I just got it and I replayed it. So that's the start of that.
What are your go-to plugins? Like, are you someone who has? Do you work with what you kind of get with the DAW, or do you have a lot of external?
I haven't got a lot of nothing. Literally, I have a lot of native instruments, and that's it. Like, I mean, until that point, I told you I made tunes on PlayStation, and so.
So what, can you show us the track with this bass? Can we just see like the actual plugin if you don't?
Oh,
mind?
the plugin.
Yeah. Let's see like what you ended up, because you wanted to recreate.
Machine. I just literally had to. I played the riff in, and I just literally went through every single one until I got the one that's like, that's it. And where is it? Trunk Rattler.
Hey.
So I'm like, okay, this is it. And the funny thing is, when I put the clip up on Instagram, like people's like, oh my gosh, like that bass. And it's like, it's there. You probably have it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know.
Nuts. I never use Machine for the synths or like any of the instruments. I've only ever used it for drums.
To be fair, same. But because I'm making something specific, like I needed to find that specific thing. I would never use that bass sound. Never. Yeah. Like it's actually really nice, but I wouldn't think of using it to start a new track. But listening to Dirty Cash, it's like I need that. So that was that. And then, so what else we got in here? Hold on. The knocks. I mean, I don't know if you know the original. I don't know if you know the original, but had to replay them knocks back in. And then what we got here. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then this my sort of R&B side coming out, chords. I just get some chords in there with the pads. And then she sings here. That's like a little, that's the UK gom, like that's where the gom,
drum fill.
The little drum fill and the usher, like vocal, that's where the sort of South African flavour comes in.
Before I let you continue with this, we know what DAW you're
Which
using.
KG put in, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, she put that in.
What, the little vocal stabs?
The vocal stab, yeah.
So we know that you're using Logic. We know that you've got Machine as software, so I'm assuming you've got the hardware as well. Sorry, could you just, before we continue, let
The
people
hardware
know
machine?
I don't know, let us know, not the hardware, you know, the MIDI controller for it, but let us know what the rest of your setup is like, so we can.
I literally, in the last year, I think, moving from, because I made an album in 2006, which was the last album I did on Hyperdub, Not You, Online You, and that's when I had all the gear, so I had, you know, the synths and the Tempest drum machine and bits and bobs, and in the studio in New Cross, and then I just decided, actually speaking to St. John Hawk and Zora Jones, and they did exactly the same thing, and it's like inspiration. They literally sold. Is it in? Yeah, yeah. They sold all their equipment.
Wow.
They just literally got everything and started working inside the box, and I thought that was crazy.
For them, why?
Well, they were moving. They were moving, like, you know, moving to another city, and they just got rid of all their stuff and started working inside the box. And I listened to their music. I'm like, wow, like they've not lost anything. So I just started, bit by bit, I was selling stuff and started working inside the box, which is where I am today. I'm literally working inside the box, nothing else. And I'm happy.
So this track is literally just you, machine software.
Everything is inside the
plugins.
box. Yeah, everything on this track is everything I've been doing the last 2 years has been inside the box.
Is this have you kind of been trying to work your way towards this? I'm guessing that you come from like studios like over 10 years ago, that you had a lot more hardware. You learned, like, you first started out like bouncing your stuff on DAT tapes and that. So is this kind of what the end game always was, to like minimize the physical?
I think
stuff?
it's just like what I want to do and how I want to do it. Like with my first album on Hyperdub, at that time I was working out of Sinbad's studio, which was in Bethnal, in Brick Lane, and he had like Monopoly, like he had JX, he had every synth you could think of just there. And at the time, I wanted to work with that sound, and now I don't. So when I do, then I'll go to a studio where there's that. But at the moment, that's not what I want. I want I just want simple stuff. Like I want simplicity. So, people always be like, "Oh, I want to get this and I want to get that." I think a good idea actually, if you are working inside the box, sometimes a good idea is to maybe just get one toy, and just work with that one toy, and that toy could inspire you to like make a whole album. Like the Tempest drum machine. That inspired me, like I got that, and that inspired me to make like a whole album, which was Not You, Online You.
Yeah, Scratcha's last album on Hyperdub. If you haven't heard it, check it out, because the drums, it's all the Tempest, right?
Yeah,
the drums
everything's
on
from the Tempest.
Insane, like.
So yeah, and then that was that. So then you can just get an instrument and work off that. Sometimes people think, oh, I need this and I need that, when really, I mean, there's so many people I know work inside the box with nothing else, and they're making like some of my most favorite tracks. So yeah, I've just started working inside the box. It's been fine.
But do you feel like, can we just touch on this? Because I'm someone I'm from new school, and I started out in the box, and very, very slowly, like I've been making beats now for like, I don't know, more than 13 years or whatever, and I'm only now starting to go to like get into more hardware and get more out of the box, because I'm realizing that screens have never really worked for me and they've always slowed me down. Do you think that you get into a place where you're like, I can simplify it, I don't need any of this expensive bulky equipment, because you already have experience with them? Like, do you think it's worth people trying, do you need to experience things, do a bit of trial and error to get to a stage where you know what works?
I think it's trial and error, and I think it's just knowing what you want. Knowing what you want. Like, you can get all the synths. You can get a synth on there and you can listen to it, and you might not like the sound of the synth because you like it sounding warm, you like it sounding fuzzy. Okay, cool. Go and get the hardware version, or go and get some hardware to make to get that sound you want. Get that feel. Or sometimes people don't like tapping on here or clicking a lot. They like just putting the screen away. Like, so if that's what you like, get that. So it's just about what you want at the end of the day. But I think I just want it simple. That's it. I just want simple stuff, and this is like this is my laptop. Like, I ain't got to think about it. I ain't got to plug nothing in, and I go. I can do it on a fly. I can do it anywhere. Yeah. It's just it's easier. A lot of
the pro hardware, anti software people, the argument is always that it doesn't sound as warm. It sounds as flat when you do it all in the box, as opposed to having hardware. What is like a quick fix of how to kind of inject some warmth into it? Like any plugins or whatever that you'd recommend for people, or little tricks?
Yeah, lately I've been using this a lot. I know you use this as well, Ozone. I'll be using this. I love this.
Well, you got 5, yeah?
I'm like, whatever,
Really?
like, is it on 9 now or something? I don't know.
Hey, I'm on 4, and it only works on my Logic 9.
4?
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
I can't
yeah.
even use it on my X.
Yeah, so this is what I've been using to warm stuff up if I need to, or just, I don't know, make that warm, fuzzy thing I like.
Is that the whole Ozone's usually like master preset thing? Is this a different Ozone plugin, or is this the same?
This is just the Exciter, but yeah, but I do use it. So if you go to, hold on one second.
So would you use the Exciter on like any kind of track if you just wanted to add some warmth? Like
This depends. I need to open another track to show you the different. Let me get my
I've no excuse. I just want you to use me. Take me and abuse me. I got no taboos.
So maybe you can't really hear it on this track, but with this, okay, I'll show you actually. So what have I got on there? Tape. Like I can add. Sorry, let me turn it down a bit. Sorry, I can add like a kind of like a distortion on the sub alone with the tape setting. See if we can hear it. Wait, let me. If I just solo that. So sometimes. Okay, you can't really hear it too tough with it. With this sound, yeah, it warms up, but it's like, so I can get that warm thing.
And where is
I mean,
this?
it's
What
with a
strip
better
is this?
sound.
Is this on?
Sorry?
What is this directly on your bass, or is this?
Oh no, this is, but I'm not actually. This is on the master, so I only have it on the tops on this track. But if I can show you another track, I can show you how I can really, get to work on the exciter, and this is dope. Because sometimes you make tracks and you're playing it on your monitors and it sounds dope, right? But then you go and play it somewhere else, or you know what I do as well? I listen to it through here, through the laptop speakers, because if it sounds okay through there, like this helps get the harmonics come through, like on the mids, and sometimes the harmonics ain't poking through like through just a normal speaker. So I use this to just boost some of the mids and it just gives it that shine. It gives it that, makes it poke out the mix a bit more.
Sick.
So yeah, I'll use that on like the final mix most of the time.
And you'll use that on, that can be used on what, drums, bass, and
Anything.
anything.
Yeah, just anything. Depending on what you want to do, but yeah. But best thing to do, like what I do with a lot of plugins, is just get onto it and feel it out. Because I got like the Waves bundle, and there's so many different plugins on there, right? And it's taken me like years to actually open some of them. I'm like, what is this? Open it, and you're like, oh, you do that. Like literally, sometimes it's about just going through your plugins and seeing what they do, and figuring out what works best. But yeah, Ozone is major.
So you added that to your bass to kind of add some warmth.
This is on the whole mix, and I'm just using tops.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm just using tops on here. But in other tunes, I can show you other things. But anyway, so that, what have I got here? Ozone 5. Okay, so a bit of stereo imaging. Here. With Ozone, you got the stereo imaging setting, which is there. And with this, it's like, sometimes I want the top end to be wider. So somewhere around her vocal, I might want to widen that, but I don't want to widen any other frequencies. So I use the stereo imaging, and I can just, if her vocal's here, I'll let me put the vocal back in. I can just widen just her vocal just by putting that up.
Is that just that's on the master?
It's on the master,
But
yeah.
you only targeted them frequencies?
But yeah, if you see this it only targets that frequency, that bandwidth. And that's stereo imaging, equalizer, maximizer. I've not got too much going on here. But yeah, that's that. And this whole EP I mastered myself. That's another thing I'd like to say as well. I know a lot of people, myself included as well, like before, I'll finish a track, and obviously the first thing I'll need to do is think, okay, I need to get it mastered before I send it to anyone. Like, what I've noticed, I think, that's fine. But I also think, like, in the past couple years, like, there's so many things in the music industry where it's like, it's a lie. Like, they make you think you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. I really feel that, like, depending on what music you're doing, like, you could literally sit there and figure it out yourself. Like, you haven't got to go to someone and pay £300 for them to sit in a room for 3 hours twiddling knobs when you've got the same knobs actually in your laptop. It's all the same EQ, it's all the same bandwidth. So if you know what you want, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that, I'm not, no disrespect to all the mastering guys out there, but I've literally mastered everything I've released in the last 2 years. Even my last 2 Hyperdub releases. And no one's said, this doesn't sound right. So just take that into consideration. Like, and I also feel that, you know, we always, everyone, and that's everyone, even Code 9, you know what I mean? He'll be like, make a tune, he'll be like, it doesn't sound good. You know what it's like. Yeah. Make sure, why does that person sound better than mine's? Like, trust me, I reckon 90% of the time, it's all in your head. We always think someone else's track sounds better than ours. Yeah. And they think your track sounds better than theirs. Like, so with that, just save your money. Like, save your money, because I've saved so much money in the last 2 years just by trusting my own ears.
And do you, is this, when you master your tracks, are you doing it at your home studio as well? Or do you go somewhere else to do it?
Mastering, I'm literally doing it on here, just indoors, yeah.
And what monitors have you got?
I'm using, at the moment, HS5s. But I've got so used to them, like, you know, I feel with monitors, it doesn't matter what monitors you have. They could be expensive, they could be not expensive. I feel that if you know your monitors and get in tune with their monitors, then you know how to account for what's missing. So, you know, you might have some monitors that have too much space, too much tops, too much this. If you know and account for it, you can mix that.
And this might be a dumb question because this is kind of a cover track, but what was the reference track for this? Like for the mix or the master? Did you literally just like reference how the original mix sounded? Or did you
mix wise, yeah. I'm not referencing my mixes with anyone. Like I used to do that. I used to, you know, I'll finish a track and I will like A and B it and play someone else's track, play mine. That's always gonna mess your head up. Because that tune you're A Bing it with, the tune you're referencing with is like one of your favorite mixes, one of your favorite tracks, and you're always gonna be like, I don't sound good. Like bun that track. Like trust your ears. Literally trust your ears. And actually I remember Jammz saying that years ago. Like, I think it was at Music House or someone, he was like, don't worry about mix downs. If the tune's good, the tune's good. And I thought, what's he talking about, man? Like, you know, the tunes have got a bang. And right, yeah, have a good mix, but literally, I think it's literally subjective. You know what I'm saying? You could have a track and you go to the mastering engineer. A lot of people, you know, they just, when they go to mastering, they let the guy, it's like getting your hair cut to me. You're not going to go to any barber, right? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna go to the barber and who you know and you trust, and like with mastering, I feel people just go to it because they're a mastering engineer and they're like, he knows what he's doing, he's right, and they get it back and they're like, it sounds completely different, but they're like, he knows what he's doing. Actually, do you like it? Like, has it got too much bass? Is it like, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? So I found that in the last few years, that I always tell my mastering engineer what I wanted, and he would do it. So I'm like, why don't I just do it? You know what I'm saying?
It's true. If you've got the skills, why not?
Yeah.
Is there anything else in this track? I don't want to keep you up because we want to get through another one as well.
Okay, let's go to another
sorry, let me
one.
let you get back to this.
No, we go to another one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the basics of this track.
I mean, yeah, so it's just chords. I put the chords on. Let me get into it. Hold on. Forward.
Where did KG lay her vocals down?
We did that at Pirate Studios. Yeah, she came to Pirate Studios. So me and KG have done 2 EPs, and we had never met until, was it this session? No, we had met in Corsica, just high and by. But out of 2 EPs we made, we literally done them all online through WhatsApp. And yeah, we actually, did we hook up? Yeah, we hooked up for this one to record it. So yeah, I put the chords on. Let me try and find the chords. So I replayed I basically just replayed everything in, but it's, chords. Where the chords are. Oh, here we go.
These are some proper Scratcha. That synth right there.
Yeah,
I really recognize that.
This is a standard, like literally. It's like the standard EXS.
What, it's the default?
Yeah, it's the default. Yeah. Like that's my that's no, like this is what I'm saying. Like I'll keep it simple. So the EXS 24, all of the like R&G and all the you know, any soulful stuff we hear that sound, it's just you just open it like that. You don't even need to find the sound. You just open it, and that's the first thing.
That is mind blowing, because when I just heard that, I was like, I recognize this from a bag of your tunes.
Yeah.
I feel like I did. Obviously, like you've changed it, but yeah. Mind
it's
blown,
just
mind blown.
EXS24 is like my favorite.
Because I've always, obviously, I always open it and I hear that default kind of sound.
Yeah, because I also use it for my bass as well. Any sub EXS24.
Yeah, so banging bass, yeah.
It bangs,
It's
yeah.
better
yeah.
than their sub bass preset or their.
I
other
never even
bass.
go into any of their presets in there. Yeah, just that and samples. Yeah, but yeah, that's what that is. So, boom, played that chord in. Had a little key change. Yeah, that's basically it. And then yeah.
That bass is you, right?
Yeah, so the bass.
The one key.
The bass is sorry. So this bass is what I've been using for a while, from Reactor. But that's a lot of twisting, like whatever sound I got in there, then I went in there and played with the filters and got this, and literally like out of 8 releases on the drum track EP, like I've battered this one synth.
Yeah, this has become like, when I hear this, I know it's your track, even whether or not I recognize the track if I hear that bass.
Yeah, so this is the plug-in, and yeah, it's just about twisting and finding. You know, I'm from that day, like just twisting until I like something, and I go with that. So that's where that comes from.
Is your, I suppose, like, you knowing that it's a trial and error thing and you've got to play with all the knobs, does that come from hardware?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because again, I just wanted to mention that I don't know if anyone, I feel like a lot of people in this room are people who invest in like synths and hardware and stuff, but someone who comes from, again, in the box, starting to realize when you go to another studio that has hardware and you don't have a screen and you have to focus, like you have to use your ears and play with things like tangible, like parameters and stuff, that you realize when you go back to plugins, this is how you can get so much more for either your money or just what comes with your software. And it is just, twisting the hell
I
out
think
of
it's just
it.
about using your hands, you know what I mean? It's a different thing to just going on here and clicking stuff, you know? So using your hands, you want to get hands-on, you want to play with a toy, right?
Yeah.
So you end up playing with it and then finding something you like. But I think just applying that same thing to your synth. There's nothing wrong with presets, but yeah, it definitely comes from this.
The game changer for me has recently been figuring out, and I'm so late, probably because I used to bug him whenever I had a question or I wanted to learn something, and I've tried to just give you space. But I finally figured out how to assign my MIDI controllers to these, and so now, game, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so a lot of the native instrument stuff as well. I don't know if you use native instruments, but you know, you could just right click on a controller and then go to, it's coming up here, go to MIDI learn, you know, maybe you probably know that. Hit the MIDI learn, and then if you have a controller, MIDI controller, you just, and then that's it. You know, you've got it at your fingertips. So I like to do that a lot. Yeah.
With the drums, KG.
The drums is KG. KG's like a drum god, because she actually there's a artist called Nio. I think
I know of her. I think
And she's the drummer in her band. So when it comes to drums, I just leave her to it. Like, she's literally the drum god.
It's amazing.
So yeah, she does a lot of the
Has she played any
drums.
live drums in any of you lot's collabs yet?
Live drums.
Like, has she actually played on a drum kit? Have you guys recorded her on a?
I've never seen her do it. Like, so I've only been in the studio. Like I said, I've been in the studio once and she sung. So I've never seen her in action, doing what she does. But yeah, she's got that down. Should we do another track?
Yeah. What's the next one? Decided.
Okay, so I have a work in progress thing.
Ooh, unreleased, yeah.
Well, I have a couple. I don't know which one to do. Like, I got a grind one. This one's got some MCs on it, so maybe I should do that.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Sneak peek.
What's it called again? Damn, Jackie Chan.
So you had Muhammad Ali, and this one's Jackie Chan.
Yeah. And this got Lady Lykez on it as well.
Sick.
So finding the Jackie Chan likes this one. Hold on. That one. Okay, so yeah, this one is a grime track. I hadn't done some grime for a little while. and I'm gonna release a grime EP with 4 tracks. And do you ever remember a track called Bullet Ugga Fly? Do you remember that?
Of course.
Right, yeah. So basically, I put this tune on this label, and 10 years later, I hadn't received any money for it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, because, you know, it is what it is. They put it out on vinyl. Sometimes things is hard. And I thought, it's been 10 years. I'm going to now take that track back and re-release it myself, which is fair. You know what I'm saying? So I asked them if I can have the track back. So now I've got the track back. I've got a Koki remix, collab with Koki, and he's remixed it, and it's got a new MC on it called Logan. You know Logan, yeah. So Logan's on there.
Are you dropping the instrumentals as well as his vocals?
I'm dropping the instrumental of Bullet Ugga Fly,
Yeah.
the Koki remix vocal, and this Jackie Chan track.
But no Koki remix instru.
No.
Oh. What about to Friends?
Huh? Yeah, no, I got you. So this, anyway, so I made another grind track to go with the EP, and this is it. This has got, I think this is the full vocal. It's got Logan on it, Jammz, Lady Lykez, and Dizzle Kid. Yeah. Oh, let's pump that up. Yeah.
Hungry food up and yam. Double fit for my tongue. Take them food Ramadan. We no afraid of a bad man. Kick them down Jackie Chan. Walk on like them a done. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We no business for my tongue. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We a take them food Ramadan. Walk on like you a done. We a take them food Ramadan.
Me a the man, big boss in a this man. Me and them boy now from we violate them, never take violation. Them could never be like man while we put them work, them a love stunt for the ground. Foolish things and baby boy movement like push prom. Or some time me not give life so them have to move up man. Understand, overstand me a the man and never gonna take chat from a boy never that. Any situation them a go dead, straight annihilation. We want him to take it all from them with no confirmation.
We no afraid of a bad man. Hungry food up and yam. We no business to my tongue. Take them food Ramadan. We no afraid of a bad man. Kick them down Jackie Chan. Walk on like them a done. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We no business to my tongue. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We a take them food Ramadan. Walk on like you a done. We a take them food Ramadan.
You don't really wanna come and war me, boy. Style ain't mine, but I bust it to me. I kick down pricks like Bruce Lee, boy. With a fool that my name Jet Li. I awesome and the nonsense speed. I wanna hear you say love, I wanna hear you say you in it. I'm big in the game and I'm doing it. Don't come in my face and try screwing it. I'm a warrior. Dizzle I won't pet to bury ya. Bite off your face like a pit bull terrier. Magic head, no good men are well enough. Well enough, do what I want when I want. Could have been Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, Jet Li or Van Damme. When we come dance off a ram, how we mash up microphone stand. Could have been Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, Jet Li or Van Damme. When we come dance off a ram, how we mash up microphone stand.
We no afraid of a bad man. Hungry food up and yam. We no business to my tongue. Take them food Ramadan. We no afraid of a bad man. Kick them down Jackie Chan. Walk on like them a done. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We no business to my tongue. We a take them food Ramadan. Take them food Ramadan. We a take them food Ramadan. Walk on like you a done. We a take them food Ramadan.
Say them a company and what, me a take that. Thing me them put on, me come to collect that. So me come from dog and I'm dog. So if you no want about dust, mine on the head back. Cool and hush, me not come to tech chat. Come for kill, we not take no leg shot. We not deal with internet badness when we are war. We not need no press pack. Say now this something a dog where you a pet for. Nothing I got to get, not even a bread back. Take the war, left the war. We must look like postman for your send back. You must see mad in your head top. Bad man a chat bad from behind desktop. Remember, Jammz give me a the truth about not talk too much like say a lecture.
Hungry food up and yam. We no business to my tongue. Take them food Ramadan. We no afraid of a bad man.
Jeez. Wow. So Scratcha and Lady Lykez, they've been recording tracks since I first met Scratch. So we're talking like 12 years ago. So like the Muhammad Ali came out on, was it on EP, right?
Yeah, it was on EP on Drum Track 3.
Drum
And
Track
then
3.
it got re-licensed to Hyperdub a year later.
Sick. but I feel like that was like the first you and Lady Lykez thing to really come out. Like, it was a very long time coming.
That was the first release we ever had, even though we was working
from 12 years before.
Yeah, like way back. Yeah. So I recorded like a whole mixtape for Lady Lykez. Yeah.
I'm really glad this happened. Are you gonna, like, I could honestly, I don't know about everyone else, but I can tell from whenever I play you two's tracks that I feel like the whole album, we could definitely appreciate.
We've been asked to do an album as well. We're just working, but Lykez is like, she's like literally like, she's so, like, every artist is different. You know, you have artists who'll come to the studio and they'll write there and then straight, boom, bang it out the park. But with Lykez, she's very, very like, like, it's like she cut like on. It's like she's writing like one word a day. No, literally. Like, it's literally like she writes a word a day. But then when it's done, it's fire. That's the thing.
You can't force greatness, you know.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity and that. So what's the plan for this track? I know it's unreleased. Do you have any plans?
Yeah. So I wanted to release this in November, and I'm gonna do a video to it. So we're sorting out the video now, but. You know, grime like is long. You know what I mean? Because grime MCs are on their own time. You know what I mean? It's like their own clock. So trying to arrange 4 people together in one room is long. But now I'm thinking about doing it like 1st of January. So it should be out 1st January.
And how old's the beat? How long you been sitting on that, or is it something new?
This one actually made for Killer P, and he didn't like it. So yeah.
He's kicking himself.
I made 2, and he took the other one and left this one. So yeah.
This is heavy.
I could go into this if you want, like.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could just have to find the beat.
Please, yeah, the beat's cold.
Yeah, I just have to find the beat, but
it's a great vocal, but I would like to hear more of the instrumental because that's what.
You don't like vocals, do you?
I do like vocals. I just, you know. There's a lot more great vocalists than there's just a lot more vocalists than there are great producers, in my opinion.
Killer demo ad. Okay, cool. So this is like this is another thing that sometimes I'm making tracks and I'll start a track and then I want to do something fresh to it. For some reason, I'll make a whole new page. I can't work on the same page for too long. So I have like 4 different Logic pages for one track and it's so annoying.
Yeah, but fam, that's better than just deleting and erasing.
But you know when you name the tune Jackie Chan, but the first thing you called it is something else. Like, I hate that. It's so annoying. Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is like the first verse. When I first basically made the original beat. So it might have some elements missing, but it should. Is that okay.
Even if it's different, talk us through this one.
Okay, so I think with this one, I was using like Mellotron or something, string choir. I think I just played a little messing about with a little chord. Thought it sounded kind of weird or whatever. What's that? Yeah. So contact. Yeah. So. This is like the Mellotron Boys Choir.
Oh, you just reminded me. I completely forgot to mention something in your history.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say.
You've never sung on any of your tunes. You love working with vocalists. Oh, there's something else now.
No, go on.
But before production, was you or was you not in a choir?
Oh, damn. Okay. I was hoping you weren't going to say that. Yeah, no, I was. I wish I could still sing. That's the thing. Like, all my days, like, I wish I could still sing because I wouldn't call no one. I'll just sing all the songs myself because I write songs as well. And like, in fact, I don't know if you remember like H2O back in the day. Anyway, yeah, I wrote one of their songs and like, you know, I write songs as well. And some of the songs which you know you might have heard out there, I wrote them like word for word, but I just can't sing them. So
can we find these credits online?
Yeah. Actually, Sinbad's new album, I have a writing credit on there because I wrote that song. There's a song with Ray he's got on there. I wrote the whole song.
So there are demos of you singing on your
Oh,
laptop.
yeah. Listen, every singer I've worked with will have WhatsApps of me in their phone singing. 100%.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
I couldn't
but-
let that go past as soon as I heard quiet, because today's session was just about like Scratcha has so many like secret past that no one knows about, and it all contributes to present day. But yeah, sorry, back to
Yeah. So yeah, the
Project.
Mellotron Boys Choir, and then what are these kits? I've never did this before. Just going through everything. Big business kit. Yeah. So with was it what's the latest Native Instruments thing? Is it 9 or 10 or whatever? Anyway. Yeah, Contact. Yeah, there's a lot of good kits on there which I've been using a lot. So what's this one? Okay, this is a track where I can show you about the Exciter, how it worked. Okay, so I've got the tape Exciter. What is that? Oh, you know what? It's this. Okay, sounds like, I thought it was that. So yeah, with the tape Exciter, I'll show you with it off. Should be able to hear it. Let's put it. It's that wire, isn't it? Hear the difference. So it's just. Oh shit! Here we go. So it just puts that little bit of now I can go up there. You know what I'm saying? That's just on there. So no. So that's just that tape saturation or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I have that on there. And I like to put some stuff around the sides. What's this one? 2 degrees nuts.
Do you name your tracks and your regions properly, or do you not bother with that?
No, a lot of time when I'm, like going in, I'll have everything coloured, because I have I don't know what synesthesia, whatever you call it. So like
C sounds, is that
yeah,
right?
like I didn't even know it wasn't until I did the first Hyperdub album, and I've always used Apple Mac, and you can label your files in colors, right? So whenever I sent Code 9 a track, I would put the color to the track as the file, so it'd be a yellow track, pink track, whatever. Send it, and after like a couple of years, so when I'm doing an album now, it's like, why do you always send colors? Why are they always in different colors? I'm like, it's the colors of the track. I just thought it was normal, right? And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And then they messaged me back with this Wikipedia link to synesthesia. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so yeah, that's why the Hyperdub album artwork is my face with all the colors inside. Cause yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that's what that is. So yeah. But yeah, nuts. I think this is just like, oh, it's pistachio nuts. Yeah, it's pistachio nuts crackling. Yeah, so yeah, that's what that is.
How long is the recording? I feel like this is the loop, but is it literally just 1 second of that, or?
Yeah, so I just looped that and then bounced it again, and yeah, so, and I have that in like a lot with my sound effects. If you listen to like I don't know a lot much, it will literally be the same sound effects in every track. Like I don't really change that a lot. All the background noises and the higher frequencies and the tops, I'll just bounce that out and put that in another track. Like, that's what that is. So yeah, these nuts will always come up, basically. Yeah. There's another one I like as well, because Code 9 on Cryon, I don't know if you know that tune, Cryon. He done with Flying Lotus.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Cryon, he has a similar thing, and it's kind of from that. Yeah, he inspired me to put that kind of sound in there. Yeah. Actually, you can see here, that's how lazy I am. Bear Fuzz, that's another one of my tunes, and Kojo Darko, they're just the sound effects from them tracks. I just moved into this track. Yeah, just that's it. Yeah, this is from Bear. Sorry, let me forward it.
Yeah. I
Yeah, that's
recognise
from
that,
Bare Fuzz from my first album.
What was this
'cause if
sound
it's-
effect?
That was from the Monopoly. That was when I was in Simba studio with all the hardware and twisted knobs. So yeah, Bare Fuzz, that's in there. And then it's the same, yeah. The Nuts. Played this lead. What is that? I'm not even sure what that is. Blocks, that's it, yeah. You know, that's just, you know, sometimes you just gotta find other plugins and play with them. That's it. Like I don't think I've ever used this any other time, but I found something I liked and play with that. Sorry, we're not on it. Yeah. Oh, what's this? Hold on. That's this little panning. There's a pan left and right there.
This is like some
Oh, yeah, so
1995 plugin. What?
Yeah,
This
some old
interface.
thing, yeah. Just like mixing as well, like just to have the panning going, like, I don't know if I'm like, you know, you obviously know about panning, but for me, one thing what really got me back in the day when I was doing my BTEC course, the teacher, he showed me this is how, like a mixing technique. And he said to me, so if you want to mix your tunes like right, think of your tune as an orchestra. So you're the guy, you're the conductor with the sticks, right? And you got your orchestra in front of you, you know, like 100 odd seats, whatever, and it's going like this from here to here. And you're not gonna have the cello man come and sit on the guitarist's lap. No, because he's got to have his own seat, right? So you're gonna sit him there, and you're gonna sit the drums there. You're gonna sit him there, and everyone's got to have their place in the mix. And because if you start sitting people on people's laps, they're gonna hit the ceiling, and then what's gonna happen then? You know what I'm saying? So place everything out, and then you can move it all up together, and you have headroom. And then that changed my life because everything's got to have its place in the mix. So panning wise, EQ wise, you know when you have like a sub, and then you have a kick which has got sub in it. They're gonna fight. Something's got to go, so you have to EQ the thing, or you sidechain. You know, everything's got to have its place in the mix. And I think when you get everything in its place, frequency-wise and position-wise, that's when you have the clear sound, if that's what you want. Clarity. Yeah. So I work with panning a lot. I don't think there's really much more to this tune, you know. So yeah, then it was just about calling up the MCs and getting them to do their thing on it. Yeah.
Banging. How long did it take? You say it's quite difficult to coordinate MCs. How long did it take to get this vocaled from the first day you got someone in to record?
So I hit out Killer P. No, sorry. I wanted to, because I started working with Lykez at the time. And, you know, if I'm working with other because Lykez is like the project I'm working on at the moment. So if I'm going to work with another MC, I kind of want to bring Lykez as well. So I said to her, can you do a chorus, and then maybe Killer P can just do the verses. So she done the chorus on it, the Jackie Chan thing, and then I sent it to him. He didn't want that. Yeah, so from that, like, you know, a lot of times you might make a beat and an MC won't like it. That doesn't mean it's dead. No, I know a lot of producers be like, oh, someone didn't like the beat, and they just park it off and they never, but someone else will like the beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's subjective. So I sent it to Logan, Jammz and Dizzle, and they were all on it. So yeah, I have a whole tune to myself.
Shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I was easily deterred. If MCs were like, I don't really like the beat, I was just like, fine, I'll go to a new genre.
If I did that, then I would never release anything.
Yeah.
Literally, like, you know, so
MCs
many. I've been turned down so many times. I've had tunes like turned down like 8 times until I found the right person. But you know, you find the right person, it's a winner. Muhammad Ali, like that. I actually the beat to that I sent to Rico first, and he couldn't get his head around it. I sent it to Jammz, because I wanted him to do it in a Jamaican accent. He longed it. I sent it to Kwam. Said to Kwam, yo, can you do, because he's Ghanaian, right?
Yeah.
He said, like, yo, can you do this Ghanaian thing? Yeah, I'm doing it. Done the whole MC, longed it out, and then Lykez bodied it.
All these man kicking themselves now. Because it's
Yeah,
been
well,
one
that's
of the
how
biggest
after that
tunes.
Rico hit me up and said, send me a beat. So that's how we ended up doing that other one. But yeah, like sometimes it could take 4, 5, 6, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like I know like if you know the beat's hot, it's hot. That's it. Yeah.
Shame on them, man. Thank you so much, Scratch, for showing us through like not just 2
All good.
tracks, but
All
like
good.
an extra thing. Like in the next couple minutes before we let them get into their tracks that they've submitted for CDR, it's difficult to keep up with the releases. What is out right now? What's out next? Where you spinning next? What's next?
So out right now is a classic EP, the collaboration with KG, which is out. And then next, the truth is, I know what I want to do next most of the year, but right now, actually not sure whether I want to drop this grime EP or first, or another album, which I have there as well. Yeah, I should just do both. Yeah, do both.
It's one of you limited releases per year.
Yeah, do
Whatever.
both. But I have other stuff. I mean, I'll be all day talking about stuff. I got lots of stuff. Like this is actually my most like productive time ever in my whole career. I've never made so much music, ever. Yeah.
And sorry, before we get into your tracks, questions, please. Two. We got time for 2 questions. So, obviously, you can hit Scratcher up. He's very talkative online. If it's a question that you think can be answered on Twitter and that, save it for there. But if you've got a question right now,
I've got a direct question right now. You still in the Michael Cork, yeah?
Oh, I sold it.
Oh, no, but you still need one. Because I saw your thing.
Oh yeah. All right, let's talk. All right, let's talk. Yeah.
salesman and inside.
Other people questions, but I've got another question.
Has anyone got an actual question and not a sales pitch?
No, not even a sales pitch. Fuck, it's just jamming on the yard.
To be honest, as soon as you said it, I was like, if you don't take it, I will. Yes, dude.
What's the kind of, do you have a go-to for your vocal chain? Like when you're working with a rapper, what's your first, let's say, 4 plugins you draw for?
Honestly, at the moment, okay. So let me pull one up. Let me pull something up. So in here, so I would go to a lot of the wave stuff. So I'll jump in there. Yeah, I would jump on the like these.
You just wanted
These
to
compressors, yeah. You know, it also depends on like how the recording is, what mic, you know what I mean, like, and what setting, like, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm just using like this, and then I might just, you know, it's just different every time. That's the truth, honestly. Like it really is different every time.
But that's it. You basically judge what it is, and you make a judgment call with what tools you're gonna bring to the mix, depending on what.
What the beat is, what sound is, and what I'm going for. Yeah.
Big
But a
up.
lot of waves, basically. A lot of wave stuff.
We got time for one more question. If anyone's got a question, yes. If you could project your voice, if you wouldn't mind.
Your song got used by Reprise in Fashion Week. Can you talk about how that happened?
Yeah, that was Gage. So that's a collaboration with Gage, and he hit me up. This is the truth, you know. He hit me up and he's like, "Yeah, I want to use the tune for this thing. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's some fashion thing, but I don't know what's happening. So yeah, cool. And I'm like, "No, bro, don't worry, man, because you know that trip we done that ages ago. You know what I'm saying?" And I'm just like, you know, do your thing. He didn't really tell me too much because I didn't know too much about this guy. And then that was it. Left it at that. I didn't even know anything was happening. Then he calls me on the day he's actually at the show, and he's rang me. He's like, "I'm in Paris. Go online now. Search Rick Owens." I'm like, "Who's Rick Owens?" Like, I searched it. It's like, brrr, like all these tweets and the tune and the video. I'm like, "All right, cool. So you really want to bring me now?" But but I got paid, so it's cool.
I was gonna say you're way too relaxed if you didn't get that coin.
Yeah, no, of course.
All right, big up. I think that closes it. That closes this segment. Thank you so much. Thank you, Scratcha DVA, aka
thank
Scratch
you.
Clark. Come true.
One last question. Wait, one last question. How? Wait, hold on.
He's still trying to think of it.
No. Usually everyone has their go-tos in terms of picking what their kind of like skits are, in terms of sets or in terms of like beat takes or whatever. But the way you pick yours, what's the process? Is it
But
just like,
skits.
yeah, your skits like to begin your sets or begin your whatever.
I'm not sure. Just all I'm saying is just appreciate your voice notes. WhatsApp. Like appreciate some people say some crazy things. And on the next album, which I'm gonna drop, is a lot of like people will go in your WhatsApp and do some crazy voice notes. So I always say to people, if you're ever voice noting me, that could end up somewhere because that's where people say some shit. So yeah, that's what it is.